All right, so we're joined by my friend, the owner of Community First Real Estate there in Ridgeland, Meshia Edwards. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today. We are in our business admin career cluster, and I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools,
Awesome.
Ridgeland High School, Madison Central High School, Rosa Scott, the Academic Options Center, and where your children went to high school, Germantown High School, and
Yes,
our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
it is absolutely my pleasure. I love it.
Yeah, and this is the third time you've joined us, and we always love having you. But like we said before we started recording, we have a lot of kids that say, "I want to get into real estate," and this is before we even talk about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
And you have an interesting story of how you got into real estate. So it's not just
right,
something you grew up wanting to do, but you've become very successful at it. But you kind of had a life situation put you into it. So just give us a
right.
little background on that because it wasn't something that you really planned for.
Yeah, so really I had a great initially I had a great job and that job, laid me off, unfortunately, and I went to another job which I was working for a state agency and it didn't work out. So I said, okay, well, my husband is in mortgages and I'm looking at everything that he's doing and I'm seeing some of the agents come into his office and I'm like, okay, I know. And I was hearing a lot of chatter about some of the things they were saying about their clients. And I was like, I'm needed in that industry. And so I pursued my real estate license after talking to my husband, passed that exam on the first try. And hey, it's been up since there. But you never know what type of curveballs life will throw you. When I was working with the state agency, my supervisor was terminated, and I was his assistant, and they wanted me to fill in his role with no extra pay and I was making $12,000 per year at that job. So it wasn't worth me stepping up. So I made an executive decision to step out on faith and get into real estate.
That's
And it
awesome.
was really walk of faith because I had, my husband was self-employed and I'm about to be self-employed. So there's zero reliable income coming into the house. So we're going to either sink or swim. So real estate is just that business. If you're not going to get out there and put your all into it, it's easy to sink. But if you get out there
Yeah.
and yeah, go ahead. I can go on and on. I got a little bit of
Well,
this in
well,
me.
oh, I feel you. Well, that's a great segue to what I want to talk about because, like I said, and I know all the other teachers that'll have this later say the same thing. We have a lot of kids that say they want to get into real estate, they want to get their
Yeah,
license, but it really is the ultimate hustler's business because
it is.
you talked about guaranteed income. There is no guaranteed income when it comes to real estate.
Right,
It is 100%
right.
commission. Now, can it be lucrative? Absolutely. But it is
Absolutely.
not the type of career for people that have to be told what to do. It is not the type of career for people that expect to be off at 5 o'clock every day. It
Mm,
is the ultimate flexible, make it happen type of career. Now, even if you're not on the broker side like you are, it is ultimately you're always an entrepreneur. So,
that's right.
and the cool thing is, this is a career where you don't need a college degree. Mississippi,
Right.
you just got to be 18 and go through the licensing classes. I know, and I can get people set up with that. My mom teaches some of them.
Yeah.
So, it really is something you can get into at 18 years old if you have that mindset. Now, if you don't have that
Right.
mindset, you'd be wasting time and wasting money, but it
Right.
can be lucrative and you're always looking for people to work in your company that have that mindset. So talk about what it
That's
takes
right.
to be successful in real estate because it is something that is 24/7.
I feel like so many people have become attracted to real estate because of what they see on social media. What they
Yep.
see are the glamour shots, the clothes. You see, I got a client approved, but you don't see the tug of war that happens in between. You don't see trying to get the client and competing with the next agent or the next company or all of those things. You don't see us, spending out the money to bring in the clients, the marketing, and all of that. So what you have to kind of think about, and like you stated, you are self-employed. You're a broker because everybody has to have a broker. If you're a licensed in Mississippi and you're working as a realtor, you have to have a broker. you have to have the mentality that this is my business and I'm just working at this brokerage. So what that means is you have to spend out marketing dollars. You have to get out there and prospect and talk to people. You have to get out there and attend events. You have to do all of those things in order to develop a relationship with people to get your name out amongst the public, because you got to think about, you have so many agents that you are competing with. What makes you different? And so you have to know, and you can't be fooled by the glamour shots and all that. You have to have that mentality that I'm going, I'm going to swim. I am not going to sink. Because I don't doubt some people are really interested in the career itself. And
Yeah.
yes, if that's you and you have the attitude, you're coming into it that you're going to put your all into it, and you may start and you may not have a lot of money to put into it. But guess what? You have other mediums. You have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You have all of these things. And the trick to that is consistency. When you get out there and you are just starting in real estate, although you may not have the money, you have to be consistent in what you're doing. If social media is how you're going to drink drama in business, you have to be consistent. You have to get up every day like you are going to work, because you should be doing something every day as it pertains to your business and bringing in business, making phone calls, door knocking, social media, all those things you should every day, those things should be happening in order to bring in business. And eventually, you'll be out there so long, your clients will begin to refer you. So you don't have to work as hard. And as you are growing your business, it is so important to not treat your business like a hustle. Treat your business like a hustle. You have to set up like PRMs so that it will carry you in the long run. So it's important to treat your business like a business.
Yeah, and that's something you do a great job of, because even on your individual selling, you see pictures with your clients. You have literally worked with every age of client, every color of client, every socioeconomic class of client, and you have really made it to where anybody that wants to buy a home or buy a business or buy land in Mississippi could use you, because you've become so professional and so known. You can't be in the
Right.
mindset of, I have these 4, 5, 18, 19-year-old friends, and that's how I'm going to build my business. If you
Right.
have the that I need my friends and family to build a business, the business isn't going to be successful.
Not gonna come. Because most of the business that I do acquire, it comes from people that I have no idea. Like the closing that I had yesterday, that client came from referral from my Facebook network and a past client. So when you do a good job, you have to treat every client as if they're going to be your marketing piece. You have to treat people like you want to be treated, how you would want somebody to treat your family, and they will spread the good news. So that's the trick about it. Just treat people like you want to be treated throughout the whole transaction, and you'll be successful in it. Because if you're waiting on friends and family, it won't happen.
Yeah,
It will
and
not.
as somebody that grew up in a home with a realtor, one thing I noticed, and this was before the internet. I mean, people always act like the internet was always there, but people our age, we remember when it wasn't. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned the customer referrals, something that she would always do, which I thought was genius. Whenever she would have a really good client, she would take a picture with them and put them in these home listing, and they would have, our name is so and so. We used her as our agent, and we found a beautiful home.
Right.
Doing things like that are what sets great realtors apart. Now, obviously, the
Right.
print's it's kind of obsolete now, but doing that on home websites is just so
Right.
useful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you don't have you right now you do take a lot of pictures with your clients. I give my clients an option whether they want to be displayed on social media, because everybody does, they don't want to be on social media. They don't want people to know what they have going on. They don't want people to know that they bought a house. So I have somebody that signs permission for me to post anything that I post on social media. And I feel like, that is important, because I did have a case where a client, she was like, oh, no, you can't post me on social media. I have this life circumstance going on and I
Yeah.
cannot be. So you have to be business minded. You have to be business minded and know that in this business, documentation is everything. You have to also be great with paperwork, negotiations, marketing. I'm talking about you name it, you're it until you can pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, and that goes back to having communication skills because, and I know I can speak for every other teacher, and I know you have kids that got out of high school not that long ago. So you know the
Mm-hmm.
struggle of getting them off their phones and getting them to talk to people. You need
Oh,
agents in your company that are young and hungry, but you need agents that can talk and can communicate.
yes, there are all communication styles in real estate. You have some that will never pick up the phone and call you, just text only. But then you have others that say, I don't want to text. So that means you have to be great at explaining your documents. You have to be able to communicate and listen. Listening is a very important skill in real estate because that can make the difference in you showing 50 houses and showing 5 houses. So, listening is very important, being able to communicate with your client the way they want to be communicated with. Like I ask my clients during a buyer consultation, okay, what is your favorite way to communicate? And when they tell me, that is how we communicate because I don't want to assume. And you can't assume based off of age because my mom is 74 and she'll text me all day long. So you can't guess it. So ask them.
Yeah.
So yes, communication is very important in this business.
Yeah, and that's a great segue to what I was going to say next, because even if somebody doesn't want to get into real estate, with you being an entrepreneur, you always have to have
Mm-hmm.
the mindset of you need the customer more than the customer needs you, so you have to meet their needs.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
even though and even though you're still selling, you're a broker, so you have to supervise all of the realtors that are under your broker umbrella, and you do some
Right.
very interesting marketing strategies that I think are genius. You come
Yeah.
up with little slogans. You even have with you, it's Meshia Edwards me. It's just your initials,
Mm-hmm.
but it's catchy. You guys have done the color
Right.
coordinated social media post and the little, and you know, it was funny before you said it's amazing. The cheesier it sounds, the easier it is to remember, and then it gets in people's
Right.
minds and they want to use you.
And they want to use you because it's like, my very first slogan was you. And then when you're getting into real estate and people are dropping gems, don't let it fly over your head. Grab it and make it work for you. Because, these people have been in the business longer than you. They have been successful already. And so they are dropping gems. You should always have a pen and paper in front of you, taking notes when somebody is pouring into you. So when I got in real estate and the coordinator was telling us, he said, cheese sales. And I was sitting there like, cheese sales? What do you mean cheese sales? And he was like, cheesy. People remember cheesy things. And I was like, okay. And he said, if you can create something cheesy, people will remember you. And so I came up with, if there's a sign in the yard, I have the keys, me, Meshia Edwards, for your real estate needs. And that was on my voicemail. That was on all of my marketing pieces. That was on everything. Until one day I got a phone call and somebody say, hey, can I speak with me? And I was like, they remembered, I was like, oh my God, they remember. And then it started happening more and more and more. And I was like, Lord, thank you, because I created cheese and the fire was starting to burn.
Yeah, and
So it
even
caught up my fire. Yeah.
yeah, I haven't even been in the real estate market to buy, but I even know some of the things you've done because it's so silly, but it's easy to remember. You guys
Right.
had the one where your entire office was holding the cell phones in the picture and said,
Mm-hmm.
if we're not answering, you're calling the wrong person.
That's
So,
right.
it's all about finding ways to reach your audience. Now, along the
Mm-hmm.
same lines, we all see that side of it because look, me and you are about the same age, and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
big fan of Jasmine Sullivan. I really am. I love her
Right.
music,
Right.
but she has a
Me too.
song that I think it drives me crazy because she says, "I'm just going to move to Atlanta, open a business, and be rich." And I'm like, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work
So
like
even
that.
even though you've built one of the fastest growing real estate businesses in the Jackson area, you had a lot of planning and a lot of lumps to learn the business because everybody
Right.
sees the Instagram side, everybody sees the TikToks, but there's a lot of financial paperwork, there's a lot of licensing, especially on the real estate side. There's a lot of things that have to go into it, and on top of all that, you have to manage not only you have a couple of employees and you have several agents you have to supervise. So talk about,
Right.
it's not the glamour and glitz that everybody thinks.
Oh no. A lot of days I'm just like I have agents texting me right now because they have deals that they're trying to get closed. They have problems that are happening. So essentially, I'm responsible for every single transaction that comes through this office. If anybody goes out there and does something wrong, I'm responsible for it as the broker of the company. I have to review their paperwork. I'm one of those brokers that I review all documents before it goes out of my office, especially with newer agents. I keep my eyes on their transactions for about 7 transactions. And then once I feel like they're good and they understand the way that things flow, I let them fly. I let them go fly to the nest. And then after, I have to approve all marketing pieces. I have to manage my front desk person. It's a lot. And you have to set boundaries when you are, because some of you may want to be a broker. I mean, you have to be 21, get 120, classroom hours, pass the exam, already been a licensed realtor for at least 1 year. And then you can become a broker. After you get your broker's license, you can hire other agents after you've been licensed for a year. As a broker, you can hire other agents, but you have all the other responsibilities as well as financial responsibilities because most time when agents come in, they don't have the finances to be able to market themselves. And so me, for my company, I pay for leads and I pay that on a monthly basis, and it gets their phones to ring in. It helps to build their client base. My top producer last year, she primarily works leads and she is killing it, but those leads I'm providing to the company. And so you have to come up with ways to make your company set apart from the next, because there are options out there. There are lots of options out there as it pertains to brokerage, but you have to be unique in your own right. Stick to what your culture is for your office. And I feel like the right people that are meant to be with you will be with you. But the responsibilities are endless. And so I have real estate is 24 hours a day. And I
Okay.
cannot allow real estate to take over my life. So since I got in real estate, my cutoff time was always 7 o'clock for my clients. It's on my voicemail. I discuss it during buyer consultations and seller consultations, so they already know. So if that's going to be a problem, I may not be the realtor for them. But I value my family, my husband, and all those things, so they deserve their time as well. And so I also have a cutoff time for my agents, which is 9 o'clock. So you have to set boundaries, because if you don't, you will literally work around the clock. Real estate is one of those businesses where it would just take you all day, all night, drain you. You would dream about it when you go to sleep. I mean, it's just that way.
Yeah, and I know my mom will see this later and she can vouch for this. I will never forget as long as I live. We were sitting watching the Super Bowl and somebody called her about a dang house. And she was like, I'm just have to call him tomorrow. That's the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. So, it really, I mean, that's when, I was like maybe 12, 13 years old, but that's the first time I really
Yeah,
realized it really isn't a round the clock deal. Now,
yeah,
it is something. If you're a great planner, if you want to have a family, she was able to pick us up from school. You can arrange that. She would drop us off and then go back to work. But
yeah,
she would show on Sunday afternoon sometimes just to have an afternoon off during the week. So if you're organized, it is something you can plan a family around. You were traveling all around
it
the
is.
country watching your son play football, but you were still able to run
Yes,
a successful business. So it really
right.
is something. If you can plan things and be good with
You
your
can,
time, you can make a great living. Now,
yeah,
before I get to their questions, I think it's important to talk about the changing face of this industry,
yeah,
and especially with it being Black History Month. And like I said, I grew up rubbing shoulders with a lot of realtors in Jackson growing up, and I can count on one hand the amount of Black realtors that I met during that time. The industry has
Mm-hmm.
changed tremendously then, and the demographics of our metro area has changed tremendously. Right? Because I
Right.
remember another thing my mom used to always say. She goes, "If I wish I could speak another language," because she would have
Yeah.
Chinese clients, she would have Spanish clients, she would have hearing impaired clients. So being
Right.
bilingual in this industry can be extremely lucrative because
Oh,
there's not near as many people that can work with these folks.
that's true. It's an open market. So if you can learn another language, you are really setting yourself apart. And, that's like big because, we just don't like you said, we just don't see that here. I'm also licensed in Texas. And, that's one of my goals is to try and add another language when I can find the time so that I'm able to accommodate those that need that additional language. And just speaking to the Black History Month, with this business and being an African American, as long as you present yourself as a professional, you can have any client that is available. You
Yeah.
are not limited to just African American clients. It's about knowledge, experience, information, communication, all of those things. Those will get you in the doors that you need to get into. So you don't have to feel like I can't do this because of this. No, you are not limited. The sky is the limit. I am literally a witness. It can happen. You can do it.
Yeah,
But
and
wanted to add I wanted to also add a little piece to it about safety in real estate.
oh yeah, I
You
forgot
know,
about that.
yeah, safety in real estate is like a big deal. You have to be able, you cannot be so money driven. Let me tell you, I never calculate a commission. Most time I go to closing not knowing what my commission will be. I calculate at the table when I'm looking at the closing disclosure. Never look at a person as a dollar amount because when you look at a person as a dollar amount, it becomes about the dollar and not the person, which will affect the service. But the safety piece of it is you can't be so money hungry that you up and go every time somebody calls you without vetting that client because you could be walking into a disaster. I literally had somebody to contract a property for 1 million. Well, one of my agents had somebody to contract a property for $1.1 million a couple of weeks ago. And I looked at their proof of funds letter and it looked a little sketchy to me. And I asked questions. We came to learn last week that this individual is a convicted um no, what did they attempted murder is what she did. Attempted murder. We pulled it up. We have a site that we're able to pull up, the history of a person based off of their phone number. So you have to be conscious and can't be caught up in what a person is buying that you put your safety on the line. Open houses is another one. I had two young men walk in on me a couple of weeks ago that I felt very on edge about. And I ended up calling my husband, going to a neighbor's house, and that person literally walked in that open house and unlocked every window in the house. And so I went back and I locked the windows back because apparently they were going to come back. And so I locked all the windows in the house. But you have to be you have to trust your gut. In real estate, if you're thinking about pursuing a career, you have to trust your gut on every single client until y'all have developed rapport. You
Absolutely.
just have to. That's very important.
Yeah, and then the last thing I was gonna say before I get to their questions is we have a lot of first generation Americans in our district. So if we have a lot of children of immigrants. If you're bilingual, this could even just doing this on the side could you are so
Mm-hmm.
needed in the housing market with our changing
So needed.
demographics in the metro area. So
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
anybody that's bilingual and like I mentioned hearing impaired, if you can sign, it is amazing
Yeah.
how much money you can make doing this.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Because we don't see that. We have a realtor site that we have on Facebook and we all just talk. We have so many people on there asking, do we have anybody here that can speak this language? Do we have anybody that can speak? So you would be the one.
Big time. Well, I do have some questions from the students, and I like these. These are really good. I think they were really interested in this when I said you were speaking. But this person is Anaya Goins. She's in ninth grade, and she asked, "What has been the biggest goal you have achieved while you've been in real estate?"
The biggest goal that I have achieved while being in real estate is being able to be a full-time realtor for 18 years. I have not had to have a job to supplement any income. And also being able to open my company and hire and train other agents. I have old agents that have gone on to open their own brokerages. So what that tells me is that I've done a good job and training and
Yeah.
preparing them to be successful. So that's my biggest success.
Yeah, that's all, and that's another thing to look for when you, if you know, if this is something you want to get involved in, find a broker that will train
Mhm.
you. Find a broker that will invest in you, and I know you've done a great job of that. And I can't even count them on two hands, all ones that you've mentored. I like this question. This is very interesting. I never thought about this. This is Takias Boyd, one of our football players here, and he asked,
Okay.
"When you sell a piece of land, have you ever had a say on what was being built or anything in the construction process?"
No, because that is out of my scope of services. So basically, what I would do is I would help the client find the land, make sure the contract is carried out, find out what they're planning to build on the land to make sure it's zoned properly, but I have no say so in how it's built at all.
And just to add to that, you could say, look, if you wanted to do this, this might be a good spot for you. Or if you wanted to do this,
Oh yeah, yeah,
or like if somebody buys a house and say, I would want to add this, you could say, well, it would fit really good here if you wanted to do that.
right,
So
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't,
I
you
like
know.
this. Yeah, yeah. I like this. This is Ethan Cook. He's one of our basketball players, and he asked,
Okay.
how long does the transaction process usually take?
It takes about 30 to 45 days from the time that you go under contract. The longest part of the process is actually finding the house or the land or whatever they're looking at. Yeah, but the quickest transaction would be a cash transaction, and that can close like within a week.
Wow.
But if they're getting a loan, it's going to take about 30 to 45 days because when you're giving somebody that amount of money, you want to vet that person to make sure they're going to be able to pay it back. So the lender takes about 30 to 45 days to clear everything.
All right, I got time for two more. This is Levon Johnson. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, what is the largest property you have ever sold?
I think the largest property that I have ever sold was 650,000.
Woo! For
Six
Mississippi,
hundred.
that is something right there.
Oh, and that house was like 15,000 square feet. It was beautiful interior. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
All right, and I got time for one more. This is Karen Queen. She's in our band, one of our volleyball players, and she asked, how long did it take you to get in this position to where you knew you were great at your job?
Um, I knew that I would live. Okay, so I knew that I would be great the first year. And the reason I knew that I would be great the first year was because of the initiative that I put into learning.
There
I
you
did
go.
not receive a whole lot of training. So I educated myself. I attended classes. I pulled my broker's old files. I went through her files and learned how to write a contract, trial and error. And then there was one particular person, and I'm going to just drop his name because he has gone on to be with the Lord and all of that. But his name is Mark Benson. And he was on the other side of a transaction when I first had a transaction. And he said, Misha, I could take advantage of you on this, but this is how you should handle this. So sometimes you will have people on the other side of the transaction that will help you and kind of pour into you. And for that, I have always respected him and just carried his name on and on and on. But I knew that I would be great in this business that very first year after I put in all the work, the time, learning, and clients start to come. They started to come. And then by the second year, I was like, okay, I'm rolling. Like this is going to work. And I came in, I made a plan. I had a 5-year plan when I came in. I'm going to work under a company for 5 years, and then I'm going to open my own brokerage. So that's exactly what I did. I learned the business. I worked with people, learn great communication styles, because you have to position yourself in order to be successful. So I was with one brokerage, and then I went to another brokerage just to be around a more my what do you call it, uh where there was more people that didn't look like me there. And so you have to learn how to work with everybody
Yeah.
and learn communication styles that are effective with everybody. And just kind of learn, because when I was growing up, like I went to Jim Hill. I wasn't around a whole lot of people that didn't look like me. So I had to strategic position myself in order to grow. And
Yeah.
so I just knew it. First, I knew it.
Yeah, and I always wanted to mention I did start my career teaching at Jim Hill, and a lot of great alums have come out of Jim Hill that I don't think they get enough credit because they really do a great job over there. But we're almost
Yeah.
out of time, and as always, we just thank you so much for joining us
Wow.
because I know you have an incredibly busy schedule. But a few things before we go. First of all,
Uh-huh.
if anybody, mycommunityfirst.net is the website.
Your yourcommunityfirst.net.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yourcommunityfirst.net. So anybody with any real estate needs and more information about the company there, all of your agents, and then again, if anybody wants to reach out, I know you're great at answering questions. You love if young people have things they can ask you. You really are one of the best
Yeah.
people to ask. But the last thing before we
Yes.
go, if we have a lot of kids that say they want to be entrepreneurs. We have a lot of kids that say they want to get into real estate, and this industry needs them, and we need more small business owners in the area as well. But like we said, it's important to understand what is actually required. But the rewards are so great even though the demand is
It
high.
is.
So why should these kids
It is.
really consider getting into this field and being a business owner here in the area?
Well, I would say, a business owner, a small business owner is people love to support small businesses just because you are a small business and they know that it's going to affect your family in a big way. Getting into real estate, I feel that there are going to be more younger people needed, because we have a lot of seasoned realtors right now, and that's one reason why I like speaking with young people, is because the industry needs you
Yeah.
doing the business right. You can easily make six figures, and it doesn't take a long time. I mean, treating people right, it'll take your business to levels and to heights you never would even imagine. A small business owner is somebody that took a leap of faith. It takes a big leap of faith in order to step out and open your own business. And I
Yeah.
feel like it is so important that you get out there and do it, because when you make that leap, you never know who's looking. I have 3 children. Other people are watching you. I've had inboxes on social media how I motivated somebody to open a small business. It may have not been real estate, but it was something. People are always watching whether you're doing good or you're doing bad. So why not let it be good? A small business is not a big thing. How did big businesses get to be big business? By being a small business first. So you
There
just
you
never
go.
know. The door is wide open. Find something you are truly, truly passionate about, something that you would do for free, and make it a business.
I
If
love
I
it.
could, I would do real estate for free. If I could.
Well,
And my
if that was
husband
the case, you'd be the first one I'd call.
listen, I know, right? And my husband made mention to it yesterday. He was like, "Girl, what would you do if you didn't have to, do real estate anymore, and we hit the lottery or something like that?" And I said, "I would do real estate. I would still do real estate, because it's
I
a
love it.
passion. You a passion and create a job, a small business, you will be great. And then pray about it first.
Love it. Well,
Pray.
again,
Yeah.
it's always such a pleasure to have you, especially having a Madison County Schools parent. Just thank you so much for taking some time for us. Misha Edwards, the one and only me, owner of Community
I
First Real
love
Estate there in Ridgeland. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
All right, talk to you soon, buddy.
See you later.